Hello and a warm welcome back to day 2 of our Pilates introduction for beginners. As you'll probably see on the schedule, we have got a little spinal warm-up today, so we're going to be talking through that, and then we've basically got lots of different exercises to have a go at. All of today's exercises are going to be based around lever length, so that's sort of we're going to look at legs really, and look at how lengthening the leg increases the load and the effort on the work, on the exercise. And then we're also going to be looking at Pilates sit-ups. Now these are a little bit different to the sit-ups you might have done in the gym or in a fitness class, and they're designed to activate your deeper core muscles that are closer to supporting the spine. So let's get on with a little bit of a warm-up. It's going to feel really, really lush for our spine. Sitting comfortably, that might be on your feet, it might be on a block, it might be on your bottom. I'm going to come to sit on my bottom today. And I like my legs crossed, but you can have yours wherever. Just going to start with some side bends. So we're thinking about moving the spine in its lateral flexion, we call this. So this is side bending. We like to think about getting a nice tall spine first, because you can imagine if you can decompress your spine, it's going to bend a little bit and a little bit easier. That's it. So nice tall spine at centre, and then into that lateral flexion, that side bending. So side bending is just one of the ways in which your spine can move. We're also going to be exploring our rotations. So if you want to come back through to a tall spine, nice and simple, we're going to take hands onto the legs and we're just going to take a little bit of a twist and a turn. So you can start to go side to side, just taking your time there, using the legs for leverage if you wish, just to get a gentle stretch into this side twist. And then we're going to come back to centre, bring our hands to our prayer position and glue our thumbs towards our sternum, and then take a twist over to one side and back to centre. Now seated twists are really good because you keep your pelvis and your bottom really fixed, which means all of this twisting is actually coming from your spine, which is why it may feel a little bit pathetic, because you're used to, when you're twisting, you're used to your hips joining in and helping you out, but there's no chance of that here. So we're taking this nice turn. Another thing to watch for is as you try and twist a bit further, sometimes we lift our shoulders to feel like we're going further. No need. Let's just keep the shoulder blades nice and low in the spine and just take those gentle rotations. Lovely. So we've got side bending, we've got rotations. I also want to take us through some forward and backward flexion. So this is like forward bending and actually what we call extension in the back. So just to show you from the side angle, I'm going to take hands onto my lap or onto my knees, and to get a forward bend in the spine, I'm going to tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, and allow the spine to roll back towards the back of the mat slightly. So you can see that forward curve, that forward flexion. And then we're going to come into extension into back bend, so rolling forwards through the pelvis, lifting the rib cage and looking ahead slightly higher with the gaze. And then into that forward bend and into that back bend. Lovely. So there's lots of variations on side bending, on rotating, and on forward and backward bending. But basically they're your three sort of planes of movement that I would always try and get into a spinal warm-up. You can also combine them, so you could side bend and then twist. Okay, there's lots of different ways your spine will move for you, but that is just a nice overview of the basics, and hopefully your spine is feeling pretty nice there. Let's come and roll those shoulders out. So we're going to get straight onto our backs to build on yesterday's work. So we're going to find that Pilates rest position again. If you need your towel or your head cushion, please bring that and pop it in place. And laying down comfortably in that Pilates rest position, feet walked in towards the bottom. We want the feet about hips width apart, the knees about hips width apart, and our lumbar in neutral, which is its relaxed place. So that should be easy to find. Now hands on those hips. Remember the pelvic tilts we did yesterday? We are going to imprint the lower back into the mat, find neutral, and then arch the lower back as if I'm trying to put my hands under your back. And neutral and imprint. Neutral and arch, and neutral, imprint, neutral, arch, and find neutral. Holding neutral there, we're going to engage our B-line, so finding that nice core connection. Now, keeping your neutral pelvis, we are going to slowly start to draw our foot, slide it along the mat towards the bottom end of your mat. And what's really tempting here is for the back to arch and the pelvis to go for that forward motion. Remember we said how the lower back and the pelvic relationship is really, really well interlinked. If one pops out of neutral, the other does too. So drawing that leg back in, remind yourself of where your neutral spine is and engage your core. Slowly start to slide your other leg away. You're just exploring, we're not going too quickly. Hands on hips. Fingertips on hip bones, so you can feel whether your hip bones are staying nice and close to you or whether those hip bones are tilting away. So just alternating left and right leg here, starting to take that slide out and that slide in. Slide out and slide in. So this is quite nice because the weight of the legs are supported here. So we've not got loads of effort. We've got time to be thoughtful about our neutral lower back position and our neutral hip position. So I want you to find that nice heaviness in your sacrum. That's that nice kind of fused section of bone at the back of your pelvis. So right at the base of your spine, your spinal joints fuse together to create one sort of fused bit of bone there. And we want to keep that nice and heavy on the mat behind us as we take these heel slides. So as you take your heel slides, we are making sure that our pubic bone stays fairly connected to our rib cage. So keeping that pubic bone kind of drawing up. That's it. And that's just to stop it from tipping away from you. Keeping that nice neutral curve in your lumbar. We're just here for 2 or 3 more. That's it. So the front of the hip opens out, but the hip doesn't roll away. So again, think of the front of your hip joint just starting to open, find the length there, and then draw it back in. And again, find that length at the front of your hip, but maintaining neutral spine and drawing back in. Lovely. Take a rest and just start to take your knees side to side, knocking the knees like windscreen wipers. So that's starting to increase lever length. We've got for a long leg there, but also being really aware of this lumbo-pelvic stability. Let's move on to make that a little bit harder. We're going to work against gravity a bit more now. So back in your Pilates rest position, neutral lumbar, core engaging, so drawing in through that B-line. Instead of sliding your heel along the mat, you're going to actually just start to point your toe just about knee height out away from you, and then place the foot back into Pilates rest position, change sides. So starting to point your toe away from your hip and then gently bring the foot back down. So we're just going for single leg extensions from our Pilates rest posture. Again, keeping fingertips on hip bones can be a really nice feedback mechanism to your brain so that you know that you're keeping your pelvis in neutral position. We're resisting any temptation to arch the lumbar. That's it, keep going with these nice leg extensions. You'll feel a little bit of support gripping around the whole of your pelvis. You might start to feel your thighs starting to engage here as well. So gripping around the pelvis, keeping hips and ribs quite nicely connected. Remember when we did the overhead reaches, we lifted our arms overhead, didn't we? And we suggested keeping the rib cage kissing the hips. We still want that kind of nice close interaction there because it will help you to engage your core. And let's just go for 2 more then of these gentle leg extensions. Good. And bringing that back for a rest. Scoop your knees in towards your chest to hug your knees and give your back a little bit of length and a little bit of release. Relax your feet back down towards the mat, and we're going to access our tabletop position. We learned how to do this on day one. So finding your neutral, engaging your beeline, and seeing if you can gently bring one knee to stack above the hip. Remember, we re-engage here because lifting the second knee is a little bit tougher. So we're now in our tabletop legs. Core nice and strong. Is your spine still in neutral? Remember, we're not too worried or concerned if you need to imprint it. If that feels safer, feels more controlled, please by all means do it. But eventually we want to be working in neutral spine where possible. So let's explore lever length from here. You're going to take one leg and slowly start to straighten it, pointing the toe, and then bring the knee back above the hip. Again, straightening the other leg, bringing the knee back above the hip. So fingertips on hip bones here for that brain feedback so that you can make sure that your pelvis is staying in neutral position. We're hopefully maintaining our neutral lumbar because that lumbo-pelvic relationship, if one is in position, the other ought to be in position as well. Lovely. So keep gently moving through here. Exploring that lever length. Again, if you're getting fatigued and you want to push your lower back into the mat for safety, please do. Nice. Last couple of movements here. If this is raising any questions, remember you can always jot them down and pop them in the comments at the end and we can talk through. Let's have a little break there as you gently bring your feet back down towards the mat. And again, maybe take your knees side to side for a little bit of a break. Let's repeat, see how we go with that a second round. So finding neutral lumbar, engaging your core, and starting to lift each knee one at a time to your tabletop legs. Now, I just want you to watch this time with your tabletop legs that your knees aren't coming in close towards you, because technically this is cheating, okay? It's bringing the weight of the legs towards your chest when actually the thigh bone should be stacked directly vertically above the hips. This engages the core and the hips to help keep the support of the tabletop position. So core nice and strong, hips and lower back in neutral. Let's start to take a straight leg and knee back above the hip. That's it. Allow your toes to float away from you and move your knee back above your hip. And again, extension and tabletop. And extension and tabletop. Sacrum heavy on the mat. That's it. Extension and tabletop. Extension, tabletop. One more time. Setting those shoulders down away from the ears if you're feeling tension there. And then we're going to bring that back in and rest our feet back down to the mat. Let's take a full body stretch. So stretch your toes to the bottom of your mat. Let's stretch our hands up to the top and have a really, really good reach and lengthen through the midline of the body. So having explored our long lever lengths through our legs, I want to move on to Pilates sit-ups and sort of myth bust a few of our traditional sit-ups. So traditional sit-ups you might have seen at the gym or in fitness classes. They're great, there's nothing wrong with them, but they tend to work the more what we call superficial muscles. So superficial doesn't mean bad, it just means that they're nearer the surface, okay? Whereas the Pilates muscles sort of more of our deeper stabilizers, so a little bit closer to the spine. So a traditional sit-up is going to be kind of a bit of momentum, but also a rounded spine, isn't it? So it's going to create this kind of curved position as you come forward. And again, there's a bit of speed, bit of power. Great things to have, okay? Still great things to train. I'm not saying don't do sit-ups. I think they're really good anyway. But for our Pilates sit-ups, we're not going to round the spine. We're going to try and create a long spine with a hinge point at the rib cage. So let me just show you what that looks like. Long spine. Get rid of my cushion for that one. Long spine, long neck. I'm going to hinge at the base of the ribs. So I'm thinking about my bottom rib being my hinge point as I then just gently peel away from the mat. So my gaze is just above my knees. I'm prioritising long neck and long upper spine and finding this point as my hinge rather than rounding and curling. Okay, so there is a slight difference there. So have a little practice at that. I'm interlocking fingertips and taking those behind the skull so that you've got nice support. Elbows kind of wide but in the peripheral vision so you can still see them. And again, we're thinking about elongating your neck, okay, opening the collarbones, and then hinging from the bottom of your ribs to just peel off the mat, look above your knees, just above your knees, and then lay back down towards the mat. So we're not going really far, we're not throwing ourselves anywhere. Let's again hinge from the bottom of the ribs, gaze above your knees, and gently lower down. And again, hinge the bottom ribs towards the hips, gaze above the knees, lay back down. Now imagine a piece of fruit, a peach or a plum underneath your chin, and I want you to just gently squeeze it, test how squidgy and firm that is, and then continue. Hinge from your ribs and gently lay back down. So this gentle squeezing of the fruit under your chin helps ensure that the front of your neck is on and active. It tends to get a little bit lazy in the general population, the front of the neck tends to be a little bit underworked. So by just gentle squeeze and squidge of a fruit, doesn't have to be a huge squeeze, we are ensuring that the front of the neck is on to support the weight of the head. Good. Now, as you're doing your sit-ups, are you imprinting your lower back? If yes, can you try and do this in neutral spine? So find neutral, engage B-line, and then take ribs, hinge towards hips, gaze above knees, and you stop there before you push your lower back into the mat, and then gently lay back. So again, find neutral, hinging your ribs towards hips, gaze above the knees, lay back. We're just here for 3 more. So you should be starting to feel really quite warm and fiery in the abdominals by now. Good, 2 to go. Keeping those elbows in the peripheral vision. Squeezing that soft bit of fruit underneath your chin. And final time, ribs towards hips, gaze above the knees. And lay yourself back down, really nice. Maybe straighten your legs out and reach up above your head for that full body reach again. So that is your Pilates version of a sit-up. You can feel they're quite tough. Again, they're just designed to get really deep into this core stability. And we're going to start to bring in a twist to this as well. So this is going to bring in your obliques a little bit more, these muscles that work around the sides of the waist. So same idea. Let's come to our Pilates rest position. Interlock the hands behind the head. Find the open elbows and nice smile across your collarbones. Peach or a plum under your chin. So this time, as we sit up, instead of taking ribs to hips, you're going to take your left rib, bottom left rib, towards your right hip. So you get this kind of across diagonal movement and then back down to the mat in between. So right rib travels towards the left hip and then down in between. So it's not a sit up and then twist. We're twisting as soon as we leave the mat. So twist opposite rib to hip and then gently back down. Lovely. And opposite rib to hip and back down. And opposite rib to hip and down. So again, you could remember this smile across your collarbones or that coat hanger in your t-shirt. The peach or the plum under your chin. That's it. And just twisting your rib towards your hip and down again. And the goal is not to get up and throw ourselves up as high as we can. We're not doing our gym sit-ups. We are doing this deep core connection of rib to hip. Let's go for 1 more here. And then gently rest and relax. You can bring your hands away from your head and you might want to just stretch one leg away and pull one knee in for a little bit of a stretch through the hips here. We're going to open and close this knee, so gently let it roll open and closed as you manipulate that hip joint and feel a nice stretch in lower back. Nice. Just moving and flowing through. And let's change legs. So straighten that one away, pull the knee up nice and high and just play with an open and close. Allow your body to kind of rock and roll and flow around on the mat there. Take that as far as you want to, let that feel really nice. Wonderful. We're going to come on to a really nice cool down next. So you might want your head cushion or even a slightly higher cushion to support the head here, because we're going to be turning on our side. So if I can ask you to roll over onto your side, we're going to lie with our knees tucked and our hands together. So hands kind of clap together, and then using your head on a block or a cushion. As I say, you might want something a bit higher to help the neck come in line with the rest of the spine. So keeping your knees together, that's the important bit here, is keep the knees stacked. We're going to start to just open the arm. So not yet move the body, we'll just open the arm up to the ceiling. Then we're going to start to open the chest and the ribs. Now watch that the knees stay together and the top knee isn't sliding back, because that is a sign that your pelvis is sliding back. Okay, and we just want to take this into the thoracic twist and then closing the palms again. So knees stacked together. You're going to open your arm to the ceiling, then allow your ribs to open and your chest to open, and then closing your palms. Keeping knees squeezing together gently. So opening the arm, twisting open through the ribs and the thoracic spine, and then bringing the hands together. And again, 2 more. We're just going to open, keeping the knees together, and closing. And 1 more time. And closing. Wonderful. If you want to roll over, we'll have a go on the other side. We're doing these thoracic rotations because they're just really important, particularly early stages of mobility. Really important just with our general movement in Pilates, but also with our breathing. If we can start to get a bit more space in this thoracic section of the body. So let's bring our hands together, our knees tucked and knees squeezing together, starting to open your top arm and then open the ribs and closing the hands there. And again, opening into the rib cage, keeping the knees together. Lovely. So these are a really, really good mobility warm-up or cool down. I like them as a cool down. I think there's a really nice rhythm to them. Let's go for 2 more. And closing and resting there. And if you'd like to join me in seated, please. So that's a wrap on today's lever lengths and sit-up exploration. Tomorrow we are all things hands and knees, so we're going to be on all fours. We're going to be looking a little bit at kneeling planks, full planks, which I know people really struggle with, and I've got some amazing tips that are hopefully going to transform this kind of slightly wobbly, strenuous position into something that feels really strong and really confident. So if you're really enjoying these classes, and I hope you are, please click subscribe. There's a button down here somewhere under the screen, so that you don't have to miss anything. All of this will pop up and you can follow along each day. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow.